Hello everyone and welcome to the Premiere Pro, where you'll learn everything you need to know to go from a 100% beginner to a professional level video editor. We'll release at least one new tutorial every week, and if there's anything you'd like to see covered in the future, let me know in the comments. All right, let's get started. In volume 4, I showed you how to incorporate audio into your edit and how to time the cuts. If you want to take a look at that video, there's a link in the description. Now we're going to put the final polish on this edit by adding graphic elements. So let's just quickly review this. I'll just play this one more time in case you didn't see it. All right, so that's our video that we've cut. It's looking really good. It's sounding good. The last thing we need is a little graphics on it, and then we'd be ready to present it to a client or to submit this if we were working at an agency. So let's look at how we're going to add graphics. So in Premiere Pro, if you've ever used Premiere Pro before, you might possibly remember something called a title designer, but they have discontinued that. So now we have Essential Graphics. So really that's the way you want to do it. If you have a version that has title designer, there's no sense learning it because it's not going to be supported in the very near future. It's technically not now, but there's still some old versions out there. But if you learn title designer, it's going to be for nothing because you won't be able to use it. So we're going to look at the forward way Premiere is doing this, and this is with Essential Graphics. So as said in the previous videos, if there's a window that you would like to see that is not up, you can go right to the window here, window menu option, and select what you'd like to see. And since we're doing graphics, Essential Graphics is now the way to do this in Premiere. So we're going to select that. This window is going to pop up, and what we're going to do is we're going to go to Edit. And you see this is a blank slate here. We need to create a new graphic. So we're going to create a new layer. And we want text. What we're basically going to do, we're not going to get too crazy yet in this first lesson. We're just going to add some text to the video. And that's just going to enhance it and give it some context and give it a nice look. So what I'm going to actually do here, if you notice, once I did that, I now have a little text layer here. Right? So this is over my video. So what I'd like to do, I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. We're looking at New York City. We're going to call it New York City. So I want to double click here, and this will allow me to change the text and edit however I'd like. Now, obviously, this text is off. You can't see the whole thing. So we want to align this. So we, just like Microsoft Word, you want to center it there. That's kind of centering as far as your paragraph. But then we want to really look at the centering as far as the frame goes. Now right here, that's going to show your safe areas. These are your alignment tools. So you really want this centered. So this is the horizontal center, and this is the vertical center. Now these are our safe areas. That's the action safe, which means what's in the camera. This is graphic safe. We're outside of that area. So we really want to take this slider, move this down a little bit into the graphic safe, because in some screens, this just may not display properly or may cut off. I want to make sure we're centered. Okay. We had to realign that. So I have a new text layer here. Now the font I have is Babus New. I pre-selected that. You can type in any font you want. The worst font in the world, Times New Roman, right? Looks horrible, of course. So we're going to undo that. But that's, if you want to change your font, that's how you'll do it. These options are just like a word processor. You can do your font, you can do your centering, you can do bold, italic. This is literally just like a word processor. So don't let that intimidate you. So we're literally just going to go, okay. So when this is highlighted in red, that means I'm ready to type and adjust it. So I'm going to say new. Oh, that's interesting. It just decided to use another font, but we can fix that. York City. So it's a good way to show you. If we're not liking how this looks, see how there's no font there? It's because it mixed it for whatever reason. So I'm just going to go back to my Babus New font, and I'm going to learn how to spell the word city. And there you go. And now I'm going to use a slider to kind of, I want to make that bigger so it wasn't highlighted. Very important. There you go. And I want that right at the edge of the graphic safe. And I just want to double check. Every time you adjust it, it might be off a little, so you want to make sure it's centered. So right there in New York City. Now this kind of saved this from the previous session that I had. But what's very important with something like this, especially white text over a bright background, you may not consciously notice it, but there's a little shadow here. And what that does is make it easier to see and stand off the background. Without that shadow, look what happens. Kind of blends in a little bit. It's not too bad, but that shadow definitely makes it more pronounced and stand out a little bit more. So light text over light backgrounds, you want a shadow. You need a little contrast. And then these are all the parameters of your shadow. You can actually make it, you know, the distance. And that was a good distance, but I just want to show you how to do that. This is how much it will, basically how big the shadow will be. And that's kind of, you know, that could be a cool look too, depending on what you're going for. And then finally, this is the spread. This is how soft that edge is going to be. And that looks kind of cool too, you know? So I just want to make sure we don't skip over that because that's important for you to be able to adjust that. Then you can actually change the angle too. So if I take the size, just so you can see it better, see how that angle changes? So you can pretty much do whatever you want. So I'm going to undo that because this is fine, but it's important to understand that you have those parameters to adjust. So right off the bat, okay, we got a nice bold looking New York City there. And we talked about timing to the cut, so I'd like that to come in on the second phrase. So if we play here, and I guess technically it would be the third measure, third phrase, and it's going to pop right on. So let's take a look at that. There we go. Now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to have that cut be nice and clean. So I'm going to, basically what I did, if I undo, I kind of collapsed this back to the cut point. And now exactly as when it cuts to the next shot, the graphic will come off, right? So let's take a look at that. Okay, and then what we'll do is we're going to add a graphic to the end too. So here's what's cool about Essential Graphics. You can take the graphic that you made and you can copy this, right click, copy, and you can paste it over here. Now that's the same graphic you made, but you can change this without affecting this. So maybe I just want to change this. So if I double click, just to make sure I'm in that graphic, and then I'll double click here, and maybe I want to add another line. At night. Now, obviously that doesn't look great, but here's what I can do. I can highlight this. I can make this smaller, right? And then this right here, leading. If I do this, look at that. I can move it. So maybe I want to make this a little smaller. And I'll change the leading because I want this to look like it's not too far. If I click there, looks kind of cool, right? So maybe what I want to do now is have this pop on once this is fully up from this transition. So if we go right here, move this over, let's take a look at that. Not bad, huh? And let's have that go right until the next transition starts. But you know what? That felt kind of abrupt. So you know what I'd like to do? This fades out, but it doesn't mean that has to. Why don't we bring this to the end and see what that looks like? Not bad. Now, it felt like it hung pretty long at the end, so why don't we pick a nice point to get out of there? Okay, so with the music there, so I'm going to collapse this way, collapse this way. I'm going to put a transition. Going to go to video transitions, dissolve, do a cross dissolve, and I'm going to do a nice little 2-second dissolve at the end. Okay, you can see the duration there, it's 2 seconds. Then I'm also going to add an audio transition. I'm going to fade that as well. And I'm going to actually make that just a little longer, 3 seconds. See how that looks and sounds. So that still felt a little long to me, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to make it a little shorter. So let's play it again. So about 2 measures there. So let's just collapse those back to here, and let's see what we have now. Get it right to the playhead. There we go. That feels pretty good. So now what I'm going to do is make sure my work area is right to the end, because that's going to tell Premiere where to stop exporting. Let's take a look one more time. We can take away the graphic safe now because we know we're good. We're going to take a look at our video, and if we like it, we're going to export. And there you go. That's it. Now you know how to add graphics to your edit in Premiere. In Volume 6, I'll show you how to take your transitions to the next level. For more Premiere Pro tutorials, click the like button, click the subscribe button, and make sure to ring the notification bell. And as soon as the next volume is uploaded, you'll find the link in the description.